We will begin with the e-dialogue. On behalf of the National Sports University, on behalf of our Vice Chancellor, Madam Professor Dr. Usha S. Nair, Registrar Sir Dr. L. Dibamani Singh, Dean Student Welfare Dr. Shyam Sundar Rath, and on the behalf of the Department of Sports Physiology and Nutrition, we would like to welcome each of the panelists, the eminent experts, and the participants on this e-dialogue with the theme Preparing an Olympian in India, Sports Nutrition Perspectives. To give a brief introduction about this e-dialogue, let us get into some of the factors or some of the stakeholders that are involved in making or preparing an athlete. An elite athlete or an Olympian in the making is an effort involving various faculties and various stakeholders, which is primarily driven by the coach and all others playing a supportive role in carefully articulating the diverse needs of an athlete. This e-dialogue attempts to open a conversation, to open the forum to the eminent personalities and stakeholders who were part of the Paris 2024 Olympics, to share their valuable insights on practices around food during Paris Olympics 2024. The participants and live audiences are expected to get a sneak peek into the food choices and timing of nutrition at the Olympic Village, gaining practical insights on nutrition delivery and dietary choices in connection to the Olympics, challenges and stressors of an Olympic level competition faced by an Indian athlete, and how they cope up with these strategies, especially related to food choices adopted. I'm sure these insights can certainly provide important pointers for athlete-centric, context-specific, evidence and trust-based delivery of nutrition in the future. With this few words, I would like to invite my colleague, Dr. Arijit Chakravarti, who is an assistant professor in exercise physiology, to provide the welcome address. He has a PhD specialization in the endocrinology and biometabolism. He has a postdoctoral research in molecular endocrinology and is presently conducting research on chronobiology of exercise. He is also the founder fellow of the Physiological Society of India. Now I welcome you, sir, to give the welcome address.
Thank you, madam. Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to you in this first ever e-dialogue series conducted by Department of Sports Physiology and Nutrition, National Sports University. Myself, Dr. Arijit Chakravarti, Assistant Professor of Sports Physiology. I feel privileged and honored to welcome you all in the today's event, that is the e-dialogue on preparing of an Olympian in India, sports nutrition perspective. The stage is really very heavy today due to the presence of such eminent personalities. And once again, I feel very honored to be a part of the event. At the outset, I heartily welcome our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Madam, Professor Dr. Usha S. Nair, a very popular figure in the field of sports and sports science, not only in India, but worldwide. I welcome you, ma'am. I feel fortunate to welcome Sri P. Radhakrishnan Nair, Head Coach of Indian Olympic Athletic Team 2024, a Dronacharya awardee, and an architect of many Olympians in India. Sir, we are truly blessed by your presence. I welcome you, sir. I am honored to welcome our Olympian, Ms. Anu Rani, an ace javelin thrower. She represented India in many Olympic events, including the latest Paris Olympic 2024. Madam, we are blessed by your presence. I welcome you once again. We have with us Ms. Aradhana Sharma, Madam, Chief Nutritionist of the Indian Olympic Team 2024. Her long-standing expertise and experience will be highly beneficial for all of us. Thank you, Madam, for accepting our invitation. I heartily welcome you once again. We have with us our very own ex-student of Department of Sports Psychology, Mr. Shivam Dwivedi, the pride of National Sports University, who represent India in the latest concluded Paris Olympic 2024 as sports psychologist with the Indian national shooting team. I welcome you, Shivam. You have been truly an inspiration and a pride of all of us. I'm honored to welcome Professor Kumi Kalpana, an avid academician. Madam, she has set new standard for teaching and research in the field of sports nutrition. Thank you so much for your presence, madam. I heartily welcome you. I welcome our respected Registrar Sir, Professor Dr. L. Divamini Singh, Dean Students Welfare, Dr. Shamsundar Rath Sir, in this program. I extend a warm welcome to all the faculty members of the National Sports University, non-teaching staffs, research scholars in this e-dialogue series. I welcome all the stakeholders, that is our dear students, and all the participants who have been associated with us in this e-dialogue series. I welcome you all. I welcome each and every one of you, and thank you so much. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. To set the tone of this e-dialogue, I would like to welcome our Vice Chancellor, Professor Usha S. Nair, to provide the opening remarks on how different stakeholders are associated with Olympic performance. And before handing over to Madam, let me ask Ms. Sushma to provide a brief introduction about Professor.
Good afternoon, esteemed dignitaries, respected faculty members, students, and scholars. My name is Susma Mongbizam, and I am currently serving as a Junior Research Fellow on an ICMR-funded project and a PhD research scholar at National Sports University. We are privileged to introduce our esteemed speaker who has made remarkable contributions in the field of sports and sports science. Professor Dr. Usha S. Nair, who is currently serving as an officiating Vice Chancellor in National Sports University. She holds a doctorate in physical education from Jivaji University, Gwalior. Ma'am has over 40 years of dedicated teaching experience and has made significant contributions to the field of sports and sports science. Ma'am has published many book chapters, research papers, and presented over 30 papers at various conferences. Ma'am has conducted over 80 health and wellness sessions and aimed at enhancing the well-being of college teachers. She has also been a pioneer in promoting women's health through aerobics in Kerala and Manipur and has played a crucial role in integrating sports and health initiatives for community benefit. Ma'am has also collaborated with various organizations within the country as well as many international bodies such as World Health Organization and UNICEF. In recognition of her outstanding work, she has received the Margaret Talbot Award in 2021 from International Association of Physical Education and Sports for Girls and Women. Her accomplishment and expertise are truly impressive, and a brief introduction cannot do justice to the extensive list of her achievement. So we are truly fortunate to have Ma'am who lead our university and guide us with her expertise and vision. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our Vice Chancellor, officiating Vice Chancellor, Ma'am, Professor Dr. Usha S. Nair. Over to you, ma'am.
Will you stop the intro? Will you stop screen sharing?
Yes, IT, please support.
Thanks for this detailed introduction. Good afternoon to all the esteemed panelists. We have athletes, sports nutrition experts, distinguished guests, my dear faculties and students. It is my pleasure to welcome you all today to the e-dialogue on this critical topic of preparing an Olympian, a sports nutrition perspective. As we know, the world of high-performance sports, where fractions of a second can determine the outcome, the smallest details can make the big difference. Nutrition is one such details. For athletes, particularly those competing in the elite level, diet isn't just a matter of health. It's a powerful tool that can shape the ability to perform, recover, and excel. The right nutritional strategies can elevate a well trained athlete from good to great, while a poor diet can undermine years of hard work, limiting both potential and performance. Every athlete is unique, and there is no universal diet that fits all. A successful nutritional plan that is tailored not only to the individual, but also to their specific training demands, competition schedule, and environmental conditions. Today, we will explore how strategic nutrition supports intensive training, helps athletes adapt to their physical regime, prevent illness or injury, ensuring they can push themselves to the new limits while staying healthy. While the science of sports nutrition is ever evolving, there are certain key principles, such as getting the right amount of energy to maintain performance, whether we're balancing carbohydrate for energy or protein for muscle repair, staying hydrated to ensure peak performance, especially in demanding climates, meeting nutritional needs through a rich diet, maybe in vegetables, fruits, grain, lean proteins, or adapted to the dynamic nature of an athlete's season. We talk of periodization in training, similar that is applicable also for nutrition. Today's discussion will provide valuable insights into the fine balance between performance and nutrition, emphasizing that food is not just a fuel, but an integral part of an athlete's overall success strategy. We are privileged to have a panel of experts, and that with the recently concluded Paris Olympics, we have the sports nutrition experts who could practically bring out the challenges and who has practically been present. So those who have done it are the ones who are present with us right now. We're very fortunate to have them amongst us. And who will be sharing their experiences, research, and practices to give us a deeper understanding of how nutrition plays a pivotal role in shaping Olympians. As we embark on this discussion, I encourage everyone to engage actively, ask questions, take this opportunity to learn from the best of the field. The journey to Olympic success starts long before the competition, with the choices athletes make every day about how they fuel their bodies. Let us explore together how we can equip athletes with the nutritional tools that they need to not just to participate, but to win. So once again, a big thank you to, I need to congratulate Dr. Karen and the team for having taken initiative to bring in the sport nutrition expert. It's going to be a very vital, I think it's something which is new, which is coming up. So I'd like to even welcome Aradhna ma'am. I'd call Shivam, I think I should be addressing each one of you, a very eminent personality, like, I mean, all those who have done, who have brought laurels to the country. And each one of the panelists, we also have an Anurani, we have Radhakrishnan sir, and the other panelists who are joined with us. Once again, a warm welcome on behalf of the National Sports University. Thank you.
Thank you so much, madam, for the detailed overview of sports nutrition, the importance of sports nutrition, and how these stakeholders who were present in Olympics can give us a sneak peek into what happened there in the Olympic Village, and what are especially concerning food choices, which I think all of us are eagerly excited and waiting to listen to. Thank you so much. At the same time, we have various other stakeholders who are also going to support us with information related to how an interchange and exchange is needed between various avenues and stakeholders to bring out the best in an athlete. Thank you so much, madam. Now, moving on, we have Sri Radhakrishnan Nair sir, who had agreed to be part of this panelist discussion. However, due to some medical emergency, during this period of time, he couldn't make it at this time. However, we would want to give an introduction about him. I mean, he needs no introduction, but still, I would request Sushma to provide a brief overview of his career span and for all the participants' understanding. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It is my pleasure to introduce today's distinguished speaker, Mr. Prabhakaran Radhakrishnan Nair, the chief coach of Indian athletics. With a career span of over 3 decades, he has been a pivotal force in the Indian athletics since 1993. Mr. Nair has led the Indian team in numerous prestigious national, Asian, and world championships and served as chief coach for the Indian athletics team at the Tokyo Olympics 2020 as well as in Paris Olympic 2024. He is the Dronacharya awardee, a World Athletics Level 5 coach, and the first Indian to receive the International Coaching Enrichment Program certificate from the International Olympic Committee. Mr. Nair's accomplishment and expertise are truly impressive, and a brief introduction cannot do justice to the extensive list of his achievements. Thank you, ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sushma. I would request the IT team to take. So, participants, requesting you to mute yourself kindly. Yeah, thank you. So, the highlight of this discussion or this e-dialogue, basically a conversation, is the athlete himself or herself, because we are all working around supporting and catering to the performance of an athlete who is not made in one day, but years of training makes an athlete. One such athlete who participated in Tokyo Olympics as well as Paris Olympics we have with us. Her name is Sri Anu Rani. So we are so delighted to hear and listen from you the various aspects related to food choices and nutrition that you have seen in both the Olympics, consecutive Olympics. But before I invite Anu, may I request Meghma to give a brief introduction about Anu Rani.
Thank you, ma'am. A very good afternoon to all the respected dignitaries, my fellow friends, and my juniors present in the meeting. Myself, Meghma Nag Chaudhary. I am an ICMR project junior research fellow and also pursuing my PhD in sports and exercise physiology in this university. It's my privilege to speak on this platform among such esteemed individuals. Today, I really feel honored to introduce a true gem of our country, Srimati Anu Rani Dharayan. She is an exceptional javelin thrower and an Olympian who participated in two consecutive Tokyo Olympics 2020 and Paris Olympics 2024. Belonging from a very small Uttar Pradesh, her journey to become a world-class athlete is a testament to her hard work and unwavering spirit. She was the first Indian female javelin thrower to win a medal, a bronze medal, Birmingham Commonwealth Games 2022. She was the first Indian javelin thrower to win a gold medal in Asian Games 2023 Hangzhou. Her achievements in national and international level competitions have not only brought pride to our nation, but have also paved the way for future generations of athletes. We are extremely fortunate to have her with us today. Now, I would like to invite Srimati Anu Rani to share her insights. As an accomplished athlete, her lifelong experience provides invaluable perspectives on food choices and nutrition at the Olympic level. Ma'am, we look forward to hearing your thoughts on this important topic. Over to you, ma'am.
हेलो सभी को गुड आफ्टरनून। और जैसे कि मुझे पता चला कि मुझे मतलब इनवाइट किया गया है न्यूट्रिशन का अपना ये प्रोग्राम है, तो काफी अच्छा लगा, क्योंकि एक न्यूट्रिशन की मतलब बहुत ज्यादा मतलब एक स्पोर्ट्स पर्सन की लाइफ में वैल्यू होती है। क्योंकि चाहे हम कितना भी ज्यादा हम ट्रेनिंग कर ले, लेकिन अगर एक अच्छी डाइट नहीं है, एक अच्छा न्यूट्रिशन हमारे पास नहीं है, कोई प्लान नहीं है, तो हम कितना भी हार्ड वर्क कर ले तो जो हमें जो रिजल्ट मिलना चाहिए वो रिजल्ट हमें नहीं मिल पाता। तो मैम मैं वही बोल रही हूँ कि इस बार मैम हम लोग जैसे ओलंपिक्स गए थे तो हमारे जो इंडिया से जो प्लेयर्स जाते हैं मोस्टली क्या होता है कि वेजिटेरियन होते हैं, अगर थोड़ा बहुत नॉनवेज खाते भी है लेकिन बाहर की कंट्री का जो नॉनवेज है वो हम लोग नहीं खा पाते हैं। तो हमारे प्लेयर्स को डाइट की बहुत प्रॉब्लम होती है। तो जैसे कि अगर आने वाले टाइम में मैं कुछ सजेस्ट करना चाहूँ तो मैं यही बोलना चाहती हूँ कि हमारे यहाँ से प्लेयर्स के साथ वो जैसे कि अपने जो शेफ होते हैं वो जाने चाहिए, क्योंकि हमारे जो एथलीट एथलीट होते हैं वो इतना नॉनवेज उतना अच्छे से नहीं खा पाते। अगर हमारे यहाँ से उनके साथ शेफ वगैरह जाए खाना बनाने के लिए तो वो काफी अच्छा रहेगा, क्योंकि वहां पे क्या होता है कि हमें 100% फोकस करना होता है अपनी परफॉर्मेंस पे। लेकिन कहीं फिर डाइट का इशू हो जाता है, जैसे कि आपने देखा था अभी हम लोग पेरिस में गए थे तो सभी लोग या तो मतलब अपने घर से बना के लेके जाते रेडीमेड या फिर कुछ खरीद के लेके जाते, तो एक बहुत बड़ा ये प्रॉब्लम होती है। तो वही है कि हाँ डाइट का जैसे कि पहले ये था कि हमारे पास न्यूट्रिशन नहीं होते थे अच्छी, हमारे पास एडवाइस नहीं होती, लेकिन हाँ अभी गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से हमारे पास अच्छे न्यूट्रिशन भी है, हमारे पास अच्छे साइकोलॉजिस्ट भी है, हर तरीके से हमें हेल्प होती है।
अच्छा, तो आपने जैसे बोला कि
और बस ये जी
सॉरी सॉरी आपको इंटरप्ट किया। हाँ, बोलिए, कंटिन्यू कीजिए।
जी जी बोलिए।
हाँ, तो
हाँ
आपने
जी हाँ जी
जैसे
आप
बोला
बोलिए।
कि थोड़ा मुश्किल हुआ एडजस्ट करने में। तो पिछले दो टाइम आप जब ओलंपिक्स में गए थे, तो आपने क्या अप्रोच लिया था उस सिचुएशन को मैनेज करने के लिए? आपने कैसे वो सॉल्व किया है? जैसे आपको डाइट अलग मिलती है उधर, तो आपने कैसे उसका हल निकाला है, कि क्या सोल्यूशन निकाला है उसका?
उसके लिए मैम फिर हम प्लेयर्स ऐसे ही करते हैं कि हम देख लेते हैं कि हमारा गेम कौन से दिन है, तो हम ट्राई करते हैं कि उससे एक दो दिन पहले ही जाए, क्योंकि अभी प्लेयर्स जाते हैं तो 2-3 दिन तक तो हम मैनेज कर सकते हैं, लेकिन अगर हम ज्यादा दिन पहले जाते हैं तो मैनेज नहीं हो पाता है। तो फिर प्लेयर्स के पास एक वही ऑप्शन रह जाता है कि अपना गेम से 2-3 दिन पहले हम जाए, वहां पे जाके एडजस्ट करें जो भी वहाँ का इन्वायरमेंट है, फिर अपना ट्राई करें कि अपना अच्छे से परफॉर्म कर सके।
तो इस बार जब आप पेरिस में गए थे, तो आप वहां 2-3 दिन पहले जाके वहां के जो खाना है उसी को अडॉप्ट किया है, वही बोल रहे हैं ना आप?
जी जी जी।
ठीक है, ठीक है। तो आपको क्या दिक्कतें हुई एडजस्ट करने में? कितने टाइम लगता है, या फिर क्या क्या कुछ प्रॉब्लम हुआ कि आप आसानी से एडजस्ट कर पाए?
थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम होता है क्योंकि मैं प्योर ही वेजिटेरियन हूँ, तो मैं एग वगैरह भी नहीं खाती, तो हाँ मेरे लिए हमेशा एक ये चैलेंजिंग होता है कि थोड़ा डाइट को लेके। बट हाँ मैं कोशिश करती हूँ कि थोड़ा लेट जाने के लिए जो भी वहाँ पे है फ्रूट्स वगैरह है राइस वगैरह है सैलेड है जो भी है उनको खा के मैं मतलब काम चला सकूँ। बट हाँ ये कि अगर हमारे इंडिया से जैसे कि बाकी कंट्रियों का होता है, काफी लोग अपने शेफ को लेके आते हैं, तो जो अगर जो प्लेयर नॉनवेज भी खाते हैं उनको भी थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम फेस करना पड़ता है, क्योंकि हमारा जो कल्चर है बचपन से हमें आदत होती है कि हमारा जो वेजिटेरियन हमें रोटी है दाल वगैरह वो सब खाने की, तो कहीं ना कहीं कितना भी हम ट्राई करें कि थोड़ा तो लेकिन ये आता है कि नहीं अपना इंडियन खाना होना चाहिए।
तो उसके रिलेशन में आपको कभी लगा है कि आपके परफॉर्मेंस में कोई हिंड्रेंस या बाधा हुई थी, या फिर आपको ऐसा कभी लगा है कि इसके वजह से कुछ चीजें आपने फेस की हो, एक्सपीरियंस की हो, ऐसा कुछ एग्जाम्पल इंस्टेंस आपके लाइफ में है?
जी मैम कभी कभी होता है, क्योंकि जैसे हम जाते हैं वहां पे हमारे पास ऑप्शन में क्या होता है राइस होता है फ्रूट्स होते हैं, तो कभी कभी हम पेट भरने के लिए राइस वगैरह इतना खा लेते हैं तो क्या होता है कि कार्ब्स ज्यादा चले जाता है बॉडी में, तो हाँ थोड़ा बहुत कभी मतलब इश्यू होता है। बट हम ट्राई करते हैं कि माइंड से फिर स्ट्रोंग होने के लिए ट्राई करते हैं कि डाइट वगैरह को मतलब हम ना ही ज्यादा सोचे बस परफॉर्मेंस पे ध्यान दें, बट ये है कि हाँ थोड़ा बहुत तो फिर बॉडी पे उसका एफर्ट दिखने को ही मिलता है।
तो आपको जब जैसे ट्रेनिंग खत्म हो गया है, उसके तुरंत बाद जो खाना मिलना है, वो सब आपको सफिशिएंट टाइम पे मिल रहा था उधर ओलंपिक्स में भी? आप खुश थे उसके टाइमिंग के लिए बोल रही हूँ, क्योंकि टाइम जोन बहुत अलग है, तो उसके हिसाब से
जी।
आपको क्या एक्सपीरियंस हुआ है?
अभी ओलंपिक्स का पेरिस का बोलो तो मैं बाकी जैसे ओलंपिक्स था टोक्यो में काफी अच्छा था एशियन गेम्स में भी काफी अच्छा था, बट इस पेरिस ओलंपिक्स में सभी को डाइट को लेके काफी प्रॉब्लम फेस करनी पड़ी, क्योंकि हम जब वहां पे गए थे तो जैसे उनका जो टाइमिंग होता है वो खाना मतलब जल्दी ही उसको बंद कर देते थे और बोल देते थे कि खत्म हो चुका है। तो थोड़ा, हाँ, थोड़ा दिक्कत हुआ था, सभी प्लेयर्स को थोड़ा दिक्कत होता खाने को लेके।
अच्छा अच्छा। थैंक यू अनु जी, आपका जो वैल्यूबल एक्सपीरियंस है हमारे साथ शेयर करने के लिए। और ये सब हमारे जो छात्र है और हमारे जो व्यूअर्स है, पार्टिसिपेंट्स है, सबके लिए बहुत यूजफुल होगा, क्योंकि हमने कभी देखा नहीं है वहाँ क्या होता
जी
है। तो
जी।
हमारे जो स्पोर्ट्स न्यूट्रिशन के बच्चे हैं वो भी आपके जो एक्सपीरियंसेस है, आई एम श्योर उनको भी थोड़ा बहुत इंफॉर्मेशन या स्निपेट्स मिला होगा। कोई और अगर अनु जी से एक क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहे तो पूछ सकते हैं। कोई और हमारे फैकल्टी में भी अगर किसी को क्वेश्चन पूछना है।
तो अनु, आप वेजिटेरियन हैं पूरा?
जी मैम।
अच्छा। तो यूजली लोग बोलते हैं कि, एंड स्पेशली आप त्रोस है, तो हमारे बच्चों में ये रहता है कि हम लोग त्रोस है तो वेजिटेरियन तो हो नहीं सकता। इसके बारे में आप क्या बोलेंगे?
मैम ऐसा कुछ नहीं, क्योंकि वो ना एक सोच बन जाती है। अगर जैसे कि अभी हमारे पास और ओलंपिक मेडलिस्ट है, अगर वो भी प्योर वेस्टर्न होते तो मतलब एक माइंड सेट हो जाता है, क्योंकि पहले हमारा जैसे जैवलिन में भी कभी मेडल नहीं आया था, तो सभी का माइंड सेट ये था कि एथलेटिक्स में आज तक मेडल नहीं आया है, बाहर वाले लोगों को ही आता है, हमारा मतलब क्यों नहीं आता है। तो अभी वो बैरियर भी टूटा है कि नहीं, हाँ, हम लोगों के भी मेडल आते हैं अभी ओलंपिक्स में। तो वो ये
Requesting the
वो
participants to mute themselves. Yeah, thank you. Sorry for interrupting.
तो मैम वो सिर्फ एक माइंड का होता है, कि माइंड का ही होता है कि हम बाहर ट्रेनिंग के लिए जाते हैं तो हमें लगता है कि जो भी बेस्ट के जो वर्ल्ड के जो अच्छे प्लेयर है वो सब नॉनवेज खाते हैं, बट उसके पीछे एक रीजन है कि जो उनका वहाँ का जो कल्चर है, वहाँ पे उतना ये अनाज वगैरह नहीं होता, या वहाँ पे ऐसे ये नहीं कि रोटी बना के उनको देंगे या मिलेगी। उनका लाइफ स्टाइल ही ऐसे होता है। और हम लोगों का क्या है, हम उनको देख के सोचते हैं कि हाँ, इनके गोल्ड मेडल आते हैं, अच्छा परफॉर्म करते हैं, तो उसके पीछे शायद ये जो नॉन वेज खाते हैं वो रीजन है, बट ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। जैसे कि आप भी देख रहे हो, हमारे जो सुशील कुमार सर है, जो वो प्योर वेस्टर्न है, रेसलिंग वाले भी काफी मतलब मोस्टली वेस्टर्न ही होते हैं। तो वो ऐसा कुछ नहीं है मैम, क्योंकि काफी लोग बोलते हैं कि नॉन वेज से शायद उनको प्रोटीन मिलता है और केराटिन वगैरह वो सब मिलता है, बट अगर आप देखो तो ड्राई फ्रूट्स है, हर तरह के ड्राई फ्रूट्स है, उसमें आपको हर चीज मिल जाती है। और फ्रूट्स भी है, मतलब हर चीज हमारे पास अवेलेबल है फूड के उसमें, तो हम उसको ले सकते हैं। बट वो तो यही होता है कि हाँ, हम प्लेयर्स को देखते हैं, हमें लगता है कि हाँ, उन लोगों के मेडल आ रहे हैं, वो नॉनवेज खाते हैं, तो मतलब हमें भी उनको फॉलो करना चाहिए, बट ऐसा कुछ नहीं है मैम, वो बस एक मेंटलिटी बन जाती है।
चलो, थैंक यू अनु, बिकॉज बहुत अच्छा लगा। आपने इतना बोला, बहुत अच्छा
थैंक
लगा।
यू।
एंड नेशनल स्पोर्ट्स, ऑन बिहाफ नेशनल स्पोर्ट्स में एक बिग थैंक यू, बिकॉज ए ग्रेट,
थैंक यू सो
बिकॉज
मच।
आप लोग होते हैं जो मीन्स हमारे जो प्राइड है, जो हमारी पूरे
थैंक यू
इसका
सो
जो
मच मैम।
शोभा बढ़ाते हैं, वो हमारे खिलाड़ी हैं, तो हमारे
थैंक
ओलंपियंस
यू।
हैं। तो इसे थैंक यू सो मच।
थैंक यू सो मच।
थैंक यू अनु, आपने अपना प्रेशियस टाइम निकाल के, ट्रेनिंग से भी टाइम निकाल के आपने हमें थोड़ा टाइम दिया है बात करने के लिए। और आपका ये जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग और नॉलेज है, सबसे अच्छा है कि आपने फूड चॉइसेस को प्रेफरेंस दिया है, मात्रा दिया है, और
जी
वेजिटेरियन होके भी अच्छा प्रोपोर्शंस मेंटेन कर सकते हैं, ये मैसेज सबको कन्वे किया है। आई थिंक इसके लिए हम मतलब बहुत सारे पढ़े लिखे लोग भी ये नहीं समझते हैं, फिर भी आपका जो एथलीट पर्सपेक्टिव है वो हम डेफिनेटली इंस्पिरेशन है सबके लिए। थैंक यू सो मच अनु। और
थैंक
आप
यू। थैंक यू सो
से
मच।
आप बिजी है तो यू कैन कैरी ऑन। थैंक यू।
थैंक यू सो मच मैम।
तो अभी नाउ नेक्स्ट वील मूव ऑन टू
यू आर म्यूटेड।
present the next speaker presenter, who is going to give us a sneak peek into the Olympic Village, especially related to food choices, dietary preferences, the timing in which food perspectives from Paris Olympics can definitely be useful for many of the practitioners in the country. And also, I'm awaiting for her recommendations for to various stakeholders how we can better the system of these. I would request Megma to introduce. Over to you, Megma.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm honored to introduce the exceptional Miss Aradhana Sharma, a leading expert in sports nutrition in India and around the world. She was the the Paris Olympics 2024. Her expertise and dedication have been instrumental for our athletes. With over 25 years of extensive experience in the fitness and sport wellness industry, she has worked with numerous prestigious organizations both in India and the USA. She is a high performance nutritionist consultant for the Central Reserve Police Force, CRPF. Ms. Sharma is also the founder of Nutrigetic Wellness, where she offers personalized nutrition and wellness guidance to her clients. Her impressive portfolio includes working with elite athletes who have represented India on the global stage, including the Olympics, Asian Games, and the Commonwealth Games. We are thrilled to have Ms. Aradhana Sharma join us today for this webinar. We kindly invite her to share her insights on the role of sports nutrition leading up to the Paris Olympics 2024, as well as her recommendations for stakeholders in this vital field. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome and having me over here. It's a pleasure to actually share the experiences, because during this Olympic especially there was a lot of talk about nutrition, food availability, unavailability, undercooked food and all this and that. So I'd been getting a lot of questions around that. So it makes sense that we come on a platform like this and try to clarify a lot of things there. I wanted to share a whole presentation, but here I'm right now traveling for work and there is a power outage because of the rains and all that. I'm in Punjab right now, and because of the power outage, there was very little time available for me to charge my laptop to be on this. So presentation I won't be able to do, but I'm going to show you some picture of just a plate, and you all can decide how it looks. So I'll just share one screen here. This was, is it visible to you all?
Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
Are you able to see the picture?
Yes.
Okay. So this was the food plate from the original Olympic village. You would know nutrition, many are the students. I can already see the smile of Karen's face. So nutritionally, this plate looks perfect. Okay. You have all the colors, you have your protein, you have your vegetable, you have your, yogurt, you have your minerals and vitamins, everything. So this is how the food was there available at the Olympic Village for all the athletes. And I clicked a lot of pictures from different combinations of food when I was eating with the athletes and interacting with them, what they are eating, what they are not eating, and had feedback not only from the Indian athletes, as well as I have spoken to the athletes from other nations, the developed sporting nation and all of them. So this is and this is just the part from the lunch. There were different things at dinner and the breakfast, and there were a lot of food available throughout the day. The dining hall, they would be changing according to the timings, because they had to put in different preparations. And just so all of you would know, there was, not one was French cuisines, one was Asian, one was halal. In all these, the main dishes, the main courses were different in all these 4 food districts. Now, in the Asian district, we had many food items available which were familiar for our Indian athletes. There were food items like we also had butter chicken there. We also had veg biryani. We had gobi ka sabzi. We had some green. It was not available every single day. Why? Because at the platform like Olympic, they have to cater to all the countries. They cannot serve food from the particular country's native style and everyday, serve it to all other countries, because those countries would be complaining them, because they are not used to, eating chola and, pav bhaji and that kind of stuff. So this was the kind of food available. There were 4 different districts for the food they had divided, and we had a lot of stuff when it comes to see it from, because that country is known for the fresh food, good produce and all that, to the extent the berries, and the peaches and plums. Not only me as a nutritionist, but the other countries support staff and the coaches, they also said this is, I mean, the plums and the highlights, they were these stars because they had, and believe me, it was there. So when it comes to just ingredients, the cooking method and all available from nutrition
Ma'am, your voice is breaking, ma'am.
point of view, it was mixed. Now the
In between, your
is it
voice
clear
was
now?
Yeah, it is clear
Can
now.
you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, so I'm saying that when you talk about the nutrition point of view, I have seen the very good combination available, because when I eat food, I eat thinking that what it is going to do to my body. Where am I fulfilling my protein, carbs, and my minerals and vitamins requirements? So I eat according to that. Now coming to the original scenario, what we faced and what. So I would I would just first stop sharing this screen. I would like to divide my talk. I won't take too long in just 4 different sections. One is what was available. Second is what was not available. The third part of my talk is what can we do about it. And fourth is how can we do what we want to do. So what was available is I just showed you a small glimpse of what all we had available there. What we did not have available there was the Indian food on a regular basis. So a lot of our athletes were not very pleased, and we understand, because their familiar food was not available every day. There was steamed rice and all available. There was tortillas available, but we did not have chapatis. All right. There was wheat tortillas available, but it was not in Asian section. So what we did, we took the athletes to take a round in the dining hall, and I showed them, since you don't have chapatis, this is the tortilla section, which is pretty much like chapati, because it's, of course, so those who have tried tortillas earlier, they know what it is, and it was wheat tortilla, so it was pretty much like wheat ka chapati. We had steamed rice, we had sticky rice and all available every single day there. So, and along with that, a huge variety of a different kind of milk, cheese, curd, yogurt, the freshest one over there. Salad, the whole variety. I mean, I could live off of those salad. So much variety was available. So all these were available there. Only thing was we had to pick and choose according to our liking. Now, when it comes to having Indian taste, yes, that was not available every single day. And as I said, at the Olympic, the management committee, Olympic committee had to cater all the countries at one time. So they could not just to please one country or just to cater to one country. They could not put all the menu. But still, what we did there was getting anything changed in the menu at the last moment is not possible. They start working pretty much ahead. So what we did, when our athletes said we do not have dal every day. Now in Paris, you don't get arar ka, tuar ka dal and moong ka dal. You get coral lentil there. So we had meeting with their organizing committee, and then we told them that our athletes are not able to eat properly like they would eat in India. Can you arrange this coral lentil every day, so that at least they can mix it with rice and all? And they did agree. It took some time, but they did agree. So that's what we did. And then our athletes started getting dal. Only thing was, it was not tadka dal like what we are used to having it in India. But yes, there was dal available. There was chawal available. We did not have, again, the vegetable preparations were not with all the tadka and, the kind of oil and all we use, but they were using their own, different cooking style. So that was another thing. So this was what was available. What was not available was, of course, our chapatis, our poha and upma and pav bhaji and idli, and all that was not available there. And yes, for any athlete, like Anu said, that they travel. Generally, our athletes were traveling just few days before because one team will leave and the other team will come in. So athletics and the wrestling were the last teams to come in the village. The first teams to reach there was hockey, and the other team, I think the boxing was also there from pretty early time. So it was just happening. One would leave and the other team would come in. So like that, it was happening. So none of the team had to stay all 3 weeks except hockey. Hockey was there throughout because so yes, they are mostly chapati eater. The hockey players mostly they like to eat their chapati. Some who are from south were okay with the rice and all. So now what we as a fraternity can do about it is one thing that I would say, because I have worked with a lot of international athletes, having stayed in US and worked there. What I see it's challenging is our athletes do not accept foreign food easily. All right. So from our side, instead, like even in the academics, when you're teaching them, I would request that, we start adding some points there where we tell them that these are the options available for protein, for carbohydrates, and which are similar to Indian food. So when my athletes travel out of India, I do research the destination and I prepare their diet accordingly. So this practice, if we start doing right the time when we are preparing sports nutritionists to go and work on ground with the athletes, this will be helpful. So something as simple as that, like Anu is vegetarian. Now and in India, the major source of their protein comes from the milk products, and which is primarily paneer. But now wherever I have worked, like I worked in Army Sports Institute, I introduced tofu there because I knew my athletes, when they travel out of India, they are not going to get paneer every day. And we too cannot prescribe paneer every day because of its high fat content too. So I introduced tofu. Initially, it took long time for them to accept because it doesn't taste as good as paneer. But then we need to tell our athlete, if you want to become truly international athlete, we need to work on our taste buds as well, because these are the things available in the foreign countries. Quinoa was available every single day in the Olympic Village. They had tofu. The plate that I showed you had tofu cubes in it. I am vegetarian. I do eat my eggs like every day, but then I was loving the quinoa there. I was loving the tofu there and all that. So there was a lot available for Indian athletes. The problem was our athletes are not used to eating that because we are not training them to eat that. So I'll just give you an example of Neeraj Chopra. I sat with him 3 times. And I asked him, Neeraj, a lot of athletes have complained about food. What is your feedback? Because it was my job as a chief nutritionist to collect the feedback from our athletes. And he said, Madam, मुझे कोई problem नहीं है. आप देखो मैं तो सब खा रहा हूँ. This coming from our silver medalist, and of course he had the gold medal in Tokyo. So I said, but something you may be missing. So he said, nahi madam, isme carbohydrate, isme protein hai. Dekho, he was eating his curd, he was eating his fruit and everything, eggs, everything he was eating. And I had seen it. Of course, we can't share the pictures of athletes' plate. It's because they are national assets. So, for that reason. So there is one athlete who was okay with and I tried to get things out of him that, do you have problem with anything? And all 3 times he said, no, madam, I'm fine.
Ma'am, I think there is some network issue at your end. Aradhana ma'am, voice is breaking.
मैं अच्छे से खा रहा हूँ ये जो available है. Then he's familiar with those food. So will you hear me now?
Yeah,
can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay. So yeah, I was talking about, so I was trying to take things out from Neeraj that at least something he'll say this is not good, and he said no, मेरा ठीक है, मुझे जो गेम के लिए खाना है मैं वो खा रहा हूँ, and आप देख सकते हो मैं सारी चीजें खा रहा हूँ. So he was there on time, he knew what he has to eat, he had his plan and all that. So now what is that we guide our athletes that wherever you travel at the international platform, every single day there are chances you may not get Indian food. We did not encourage them to get food from outside because of the food safety, hygiene, and doping concern. We could not do that. And at such platform, it's like rules are pretty strict. You cannot, and being in the system where you don't know where the different substances can come in to your food. So that's what you have to worry about too. So this was one part. So from my end, what I want to say is this is what we can do, that even when we are formulating the curriculum, we need to start teaching our students more about the international food available. When we do the calculations, like when I do calculations for my athletes, I'm very well versed, calculating tofu and quinoa and all those sort of things, because I know more they know about these food, more they are familiar, their life will be easier. I tell them, ये खाने लग जाओगे तुम्हारा life easy होगा अगर international athlete बनना है तो. So now this is something I would really recommend that, since we are having an open dialogue here, that this is what we can include in, our system in India, and start working more closely on that. That once it is in curriculum, our nutritionists learn that, they go to work with athletes and they start teaching the athletes about it. But yes, like Anu said, I have already submitted in my reports after the Olympics that we do need to have the provision of going with our own team of, if we can have our chefs available there. So those have gone as a formal recommendation in my report to the Indian government, the Ministry and Indian Olympic Association. Also, there were only few countries. So I will tell you, even the developed countries like New Zealand, they did not have their chefs. They were also eating the same food. So we were having regular meetings with the organizing committee, all the nutritionists from different, we had a group, we were all discussing food and all there. We were having meeting with the organizing committee and the catering staff. So there were just couple of countries who flew in their chef, and countries like UK and US who can do it. They have a lot of money. They could at the last moment also. You all must have heard about Paris being really hot. And so, some of the athletes from the developed nations who had money to move their athletes out of the village. And so a lot of athletes had moved, US athletes had moved out in the hotels. They were staying there. But then Indian athletes, we wanted them all to stay inside the village. So now those countries, they had flew in their chefs. But right now it was, and I mean, I'm glad to, acknowledge the fact this is the first time India had sent nutritionists as part of the contingent. So we have opened up a path. Now, gradually, now we know the situation. So gradually we will be improving upon it. And that's what I have put in my, recommendations to the government, that we need to do this, this, and this. So next time our athletes are more comfortable, we should take the, chefs along with us. We should take some, like if you are following the media from Sports Authority of India and all, this time when they went for Paralympic, they had prepared proper food boxes for them, the semi-perishable, non-perishable food. These were the snacks which they carried. So in coming days, we would be starting doing that too, and again, before going there, I tried few recipes because we had access to the Olympic menu. I tried few recipes with the help of Sports Authority of India national camps, and those nutritionists, I told them, and the chefs, that can we prepare these recipes so our athletes know what they are going to eat in the Olympic village. So we could do this for some athletes, but some athletes were already training out of India, so we couldn't do it for them. So this was the talk from my side. If there are any particular questions you have in mind, please feel free to ask.
Sure. Thank you so much, ma'am, for explaining to us the various food options and choices that were available in the Olympic Village for the athletes. I think it was very detailed and something that all the sports nutritionists, at least people who are practitioners, will definitely use this knowledge. Apart from this, I have a small question. Like, what was the timing of food in the village? Like, was it similar to what we had, like recovery nutrition, pre-training diet, or were the athletes supposed to carry it with them? How was it like?
So, see, it was pretty scattered there in Paris. All the venues were separate. So the athletes were living in the village, but the badminton venue was separate. The athletic tracks were separate. So it was not like in the village there was any training venue or the competition venue. Now at each venue, they had a pantry setup. Okay, so post your competition, you could have your hands on. So there were different kind of packaged snacks, like, energy bars and all available. There were different kind of yogurts available, which we generally tell our athletes to have as a recovery, flavored yogurt and all that. A lot of fruits available, coffee and all that. So there were a lot of, the pantry entries were at all the venues set up by the Olympic Committee. When it comes to the timing of food, yes, there were talks about food getting finished. Initial few days in the Olympic Village, that did happen because each country's athletes have different eating habits. Now, if you go into the Western or, in Paris and Switzerland and Netherlands and all those countries, they eat their lunch and dinner early. Their lunch starts, say, about 12, all right, and they finish by 1:30. For Indians, our athletes, the lunch was starting at 2:33. So now you can understand. I don't have to say much. So when they were reaching late there, some food items were finished. So that is the truth. And our chef de mission, Mr. Gaganarang, he did raise the point with them. And then later on, after a few days, it was fixed because initially they were not prepared for it. The committee wasn't prepared initially. So they could not refill the food really fast. So say if rice is finished, they couldn't refill it faster enough because the food was being cooked at another location. There was a central kitchen. Food was being cooked there and it was brought here with all the hygienic conditions and all that. So this is something which our athletes and a lot of other administrative staff and all, they did not know. So this was the challenge behind that. But yes, after a few days, the problem of food getting finished, that was sorted. That wasn't happening much. The timing the main dining hall was closing at certain time, but they had food plaza. There was different grab and go stations where you can grab, some smoothie, you can grab some milkshake, you can grab different. There were nice vegetarian sandwiches available, which had quinoa and whatnot, all those sort of things. So you could grab and take it to your room and eat wherever. So these were, so other than the main dining hall, there was an island dining hall and there was very grab and go station when you pick up your food and you can take it away. So yes, initial few days there was a little chaos, because a lot of athletes would go at the same time because their eating times were different. But then when our athletes went there and they had to train and compete according to Paris time, so they had to adjust their food timings. So before they all left for the Paris, I had conducted some sessions with them, and I told them to start adjusting their dinner, their breakfast, their lunchtime from India itself. Just one hour, start adjusting that, so you won't suffer a lot when you are eating there in Paris.
Oh, that is great. That is great to know. Meanwhile, if anyone else wants to raise any questions or ask any questions to ma'am, any nutrition student, anyone else, scholars.
Hello, good afternoon.
Ma'am? Okay.
Hello, good afternoon. I am Pawan Kumar, sports athlete student. Ma'am, how does nutrition include an athlete's mental readiness, particularly when dealing with pressure and stress level at Olympic level?
Okay, that's really good question. Thanks for asking that, because I always tell food is, it does affect your mood. All right. And your mood also does affect your food intake. It happens a lot. But then when it comes to a platform like that, I'll tell you it is from athlete to athlete. So I'll give you example of our hockey players. They knew that their choice of food was not available, like I said. But then they decided we are going to eat and win. So that is one mindset. Okay. They did not go, you would not see hockey players talking a lot to the media and saying, yes, the food wasn't. And I was talking to a lot of them and they were like, Madam, agle na Olympic mein ye cheez karwa dena. But they will not go out and say that because they knew then and there they had to eat and they had to perform. So if they put too much of their thought process, or if they get too stressed about food, it was going to be counterproductive. There were athletes like Neeraj Chopra. I already shared that. He just knew I have to eat and I have to go and perform. Then there were some athletes who were like, I'm not getting the food of my choice. I don't know if I'm able to play or not. So yes, it has not only about the how food affects your mood, but what is your perception, how you take the challenges, because it was a challenge they were facing, right? So there are athletes who have, very resilient, or who just knew what they have to do, and they will put their brain in the food, that okay, if I eat this is how it is going to affect. So yes, for few athletes, they were showing the disappointment, and it may have affected their performance. I mean, no doubt about it. But then there were athletes who knew the challenges right away, and they did not let that affect their performance. So it's then, yes, being in sports psychology, you can then, help us to train your, athletes by saying that I always tell my athletes, don't get emotionally connected with food. If you put your emotions in food, it is going to affect your performance. So that's what I generally tell my athletes. So it will be a huge support to us if you in the field of sports psychology can also start talking the same language, that food is there to be eaten, and there are challenges everywhere in life, or in every country. You cannot get what you were getting at home, right? Even when we travel, home kind of food we don't get anywhere. But our focus is like, why are we there? The same food was those who won the medal, the same food they were also eating. Those who didn't win the medal, they were also eating the same food. So that's just my concluding point there, that this is how we need to see why we are eating and how it is going to affect the performance.
I think that was a very important message that was communicated, and I think we will be having presenters who are experts in sports psychology, who are also going to give us some directions in this line of thought. I think, ma'am, will you be able to wait for 10 minutes, or do we have time with you, ma'am?
10 minutes, yeah. It's 3:40, so around 3:50, I'll be here.
Great, ma'am. Thank you so much for your time. Meanwhile, may I invite the next presenter, who is Dr. Devla Chanu, Assistant Professor in Sports Psychology, who will give her academic perspectives related to mental health and dietary practices, and her thoughts in connection to what Aradhana ma'am has just spoken in detail. I would like Shantia to introduce Devla Chanu.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon to everyone here today. I am Sandhya B. I am a DST Inspire Fellow and pursuing PhD in Sports Nutrition from this university. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Ningthongcham Debla Janu, a accomplished assistant professor in the Department of Sports Psychology at the National Sports University, Manipur, with a PhD in psychology and an MPhil in clinical psychology from the prestigious Regional Institute of Medical Sciences. Madam brings a wealth of expertise and knowledge to the field. As a Madam has extensive experience in counseling and psychotherapy across diverse population. Her passion for research is reflected in her involvement with various projects and numerous presentation and publication in nationally and international recognized conference and the journals. Since last 6 years, Madam has been working closely with athletes and focusing on performance enhancement through the use of psychological skill training. We are fortunate to have such a dedicated and skilled professional among us today. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Ningthongcham Debla Janu. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Santhia. Respected VC Madam, Registrar Sir, Dean Students Welfare, National Sports University, all the esteemed dignitaries, my students, my colleagues. First of all, a big thanks to Dr. Karen and team for having me on board in this dialogue amidst all these personalities who have now and then made our nation proud. So I'm really privileged. Thank you so much for that. So, Madam, you see the topic which you have given. It's on the this academician's perspective on mental health and the dietary practices. So the moment you gave me the topic, I was reminded in my mind of the phrases like, food is mood. Like Madam Aradhana has also pointed that out. And, like you are what you eat. So today, many recognize that, diet, it impacts physical health. But, there is now a paradigm shift. And then there is a growing evidence which suggests that what we eat, it also plays a crucial role in our, overall mental health and the emotional well-being. And then this paradigm shift, it has become more pronounced due to the advancements made in the fields of food psychology and nutrition psychology, to say, because these are the fields which are dedicated to various studies about how people choose the food they eat, basically the food choices which people make. And I think Anuji has rightly pointed out about the mindset which athlete has when in deciding which food I should take, and the food preferences, which again is dependent on the availability of the food, then the cultural preferences, and also the religious preferences the individual has, like being a vegetarian, even though there are the table is full of various food items, I have my own preferences and why I end up choosing a certain item over the other. So that has lead to understanding how these eating behaviors are different for different people, the individual differences which lies in this. And and on the other hand, this nutrition psychology is basically the applied field that is focused on examining the influence of diet or the dietary practices on the mental health and the general well-being of an individual. So you see, we need to understand that the nutrients in the food that we eat, it really affects the entire neurochemistry, which in turn impacts our overall mood, the memory, cognitive functions like attention, decision making, which makes or which plays a huge role in athletes reaching their peak performance. So that is one thing. And then if you look at the researches, there are this researches which points out that the neurotransmitters like serotonin, which is very much helpful in promoting good sleep, then dopamine, which regulates the emotions and then the mood of individual, endorphins, like the pain hormones that we call it, in a general I mean, in a layman term, and then which is associated with overall mental health of a person, and they are also getting impacted by the dietary habits. So if you see, this serotonin is getting very much influenced by protein-rich foods like cheese, eggs. Okay, then dopamine, again protein-rich foods like dairy products, fish, meat, like that, and endorphins like chocolate, and even you have this spicy foods, because it releases something called as capsaicin, which makes you think that you are undergoing a pain in your body, and that releases the hormone. So you see, this all points out that how sports nutrition is very much related with sports psychology, and how this upcoming fields like food psychology and nutrition psychology, these all are intertwined with each other. So that's something which is the athletes, they need to understand this relationship, so that, and it's another layer which they need to crack open in their pursuit to reach peak performance and to make a podium finish. And we all, as different stakeholders, we should work hand in hand to make it possible for the athletes to achieve that like podium finish, and to make it possible then to help them realize their dreams. And this very concept of positive mental health, it may appear a bit overused or a bit of a buzz, but you see, there is so much truth in it. Why I'm saying this is, you live along an athlete who is set to perform their best in the world stage where everyone is, watching them. So, but leave them alone. Take a layman like me, that I will never be able to perform at my best when I'm not feeling well, or when I'm feeling a bit low, or I'm having a negative attitude about myself, right? So like self-belief, then confidence, then ability to recognize one's potentials, and then ability to handle the stressors and the daily hassles. These are like the key markers of a positive mental health. And these factors or these markers are very much crucial for an athlete to deliver their best, and to also reach the top of their game. So I think we have also heard about this something called as comfort eating, right? So this is exactly what makes you feel better. Like, for example, sometimes from your own experiences, you see that a simple pleasure of enjoying a delicious meal can make you feel better. You're not hungry, but still, the smell of that coffee is enough to, kickstart the day, right? So those things are there. And then after a tough day, that maa ka haat ka khana, that it does wonders to your mood, and it helps, or it satisfies your emotional needs if you look at it. And at the other side, conversely, this emotional state or the mood in which you consume the food is also very important. Like, of course, the food has a role in your mood, in lifting your mood, so to say. But again, the mood in which you are having that food, that also has a huge implication. Like, for example, going for an examination, right? So when sometimes you don't feel like eating, and you also get nauseated because of the food that we just ate while we were in huge amount of stress, so the emotional state in which you consume the food will also interfere with our metabolism. All right, it just shifts the entire metabolism, and it really affects the digestion and everything. So imagine the amount of stress an athlete must be feeling just before the game. So us going for an examination or an interview or a viva, we feel nauseated at the sight of the food. We don't feel like eating also, and even if we have had, we feel like puking it. So similarly, for athletes who are going through so much amount of stress and anxiety before the game, it must be difficult for them. So I would just like to highlight that the state of your awareness or the mood will definitely influence how your food is being metabolized in your body. I would also like to quote one study which was done in the Ohio State University, wherein they were feeding. It's an old study, like it dates back to 1979. So there, they were feeding. The researchers were feeding rabbits diets which were extremely high on cholesterol, and then the researchers, to their amazement, what they found was that a certain group of rabbits, they never got high cholesterol levels, even though they were fed the same amount. So, later it was found that the technician was feeding these rabbits. Instead of simply throwing the food at them, he would, lovely show his care, affection, like stroking them. He would cuddle them, he would pet them, he would kiss them, and then feed the same poisonous food to them. Okay. So but now, as a result of this experience of the affection or the care or the happiness which the rabbit faced when they were fed with so much love, that made the chemicals inside their brain and the body that turned the cholesterol to get metabolized in a completely different pathway. So this is something which was really interesting. That's why I quoted. And since then, there has been various studies which has also supported these findings. So and then they also saw that in that particular research, experiment, that it's considerably reduced the risk of having heart attack among the rabbits. Okay, when they were fed that high cholesterol or poisonous food which they were served. So to conclude, I would say that it's not the food that you are eating, but the awareness and the consciousness and the state emotions in which you are eating the food that matters. And like Madam has also pointed out, the mindset of the athlete, that will really, set apart and someone who is always looking for something to criticize or not complain or something like that. So I would say that food is mood, good food, good mood. And it is important for us to know that stress and emotional state can definitely influence the athlete's performance due to the disruption in the metabolism. And also of utmost importance is that all the stakeholders, we all should work hand in hand, because we all play a huge role in helping the athlete or in making of an Olympian. So with this, I would like to conclude, and I'm hoping that this topic will be carried forward by our very own Shivam Dwivedi, who has hands-on experience of working with the Paris Olympics team, the shooting team especially. So I would also like to place on record that Shivam, we are really proud of you. The entire Department of Sports Psychology is really proud of you. The entire National Sports University fraternity. and the hard work, the dedication that you, along with Akshita, both of you have put forward, to make it possible for our athletes and, for setting a benchmark for our students. So all over to you, Shivam. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Before Shivam, I would just like to thank Aradhana Sharma ma'am. She will have to leave very soon. Within her busy schedule, she's still traveling, but still has agreed to give us time to share her experiences. Although there are many more questions that are there in my mind. However, with the want of time, probably we will interact later. And thank you so much, ma'am, for participating in this e-dialogue. I'm sure this is just a journey of starting a dialogue, and it's important. I always feel that academicians and practitioners should go hand in hand. And otherwise, it is very difficult to carry forward practical insights into teaching and also to carry forward research driven knowledge into field. So that was the intention behind the initiating this e-dialogue, and it would have been incomplete without your presence here. And thank you so much, ma'am. From on behalf of the National Sports University, I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me here. I loved speaking here, and we need to have more dialogues like this for sure. So, hoping to see you all soon. And Shivam, I'm sorry I had a commitment already, but wish you all the best for your talk, and hope to see you all soon. Bye for now.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
On behalf of the National Sports University, a big thank you to Ms. Aradhana Sharma. Looking forward to see you again.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
So we move on to our very own student and alumni. We're so proud of his achievements, as already stated by Devla ma'am. So may I ask Shantia to please introduce Shivam Dwivedi for us. I'm sure you don't need any introduction, for us at least, for NSU, but still we would like to acknowledge all that you have done for the country.
It is my pleasure to introduce our esteemed speaker for today, Mr. Shivam Dwivedi, who is currently serving as the sports psychologist for the Indian shooting team in senior under the National Rifle Association of India since 2022. He is also in his second year of pursuing PhD in sports psychology from Lakshmibai National Institute of Physical Education, Gwalior, with an MA in sports psychology from National Sports University, Manipur. Mr. Dwivedi brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to the field. He has been closely associated with the Sports Authority of India, providing invaluable psychological support to the TOPS, that is Target Olympic Podium Scheme, and NCOE, National Centers for Excellence, shooters across disciplines, including rifle, pistols, and shotgun. His extensive experience and dedication to the mental well-being of athletes make him an asset to the Indian sports. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Shivam Dwivedi. Over to you.
Thank you so much. I would like to begin by extending my gratitude for inviting me for this e-dialogue. Thank you so much, VC ma'am, registrar, respected faculty members, among which some of us I know, Kuldeep sir, Debla ma'am, Rat sir, Premananda sir, and others as well, which I also remember, and my student friends. So I would like to share my screen, and I hope it is visible.
Not yet.
Is it visible now?
Yes, yes, it's visible.
Okay. All right. So let's understand uh, how an Olympic performance is cultivated under the stressors that an athlete goes through and the dietary challenges that an athlete has to maneuver along with the journey that he pursues. So let's look at the high performance model that
I think your screen isn't visible. It wasn't the screen earlier. Your
Yes, it's
screen
not.
wasn't visible.
Even I was wondering.
is it visible, ma'am?
No, not yet. No,
Yours.
it's not.
Okay.
Yes, now it's visible.
Yes. So So let's understand firstly how the high performance works so as to understand what can be the possible stressors, and thereby we can dive into what are the nutritional aspects as far as stress is concerned. So, in high performance at the Olympic level, we all strive for that 1% marginal gains in all the respective domains, be it technical aspect, tactical aspect, mental, nutritional, social support, financial, equipment, and so on, and physical. So, when each and every domain in this high performance system works hard day in and day out for providing 1% edge to the athlete, then an athlete is made to be able to perform at an international level, such as Olympic Games. So we all strive for that small percentage that VC ma'am also rightly mentioned in her remarks. uh, this is very much essential for us to understand that how thin a margin can be at the Olympic Games and how much important it is to work on those thin margins, which can give you an edge when it comes to the Olympic Games. Because I will be sharing some examples how those thin margins can define a medalist from a non-medalist, so to speak, and a successful athlete from an unsuccessful or not so successful athlete. So let's understand stress. If I be more specific, then let's talk about distress. Because when it comes to high performance competition, such as Olympic Games, stress can be your friend. And most of the time it is, unless you perceive the challenging situation is exceeding the ability to manage itself. For example, uh, there is an athlete who has been into finals, but not in the games, for example. But in World Cups, he has been into the finals. But now, all of a sudden, he or she goes into the Olympic Games finals. Now, the perception of the challenge of finals may or may not be for that particular athlete exceed the ability to overcome. When the perception exceeds this ability, there the issue starts. Then it leads to distress. And when it leads to distress, it impairs your decision making, so to speak. And decision making is very much essential, as we all know, because throughout this 4 year duration that an athlete and the high performance system has for preparing an athlete for Olympic Games, we all prepare the athlete to perform under chaos because there are very less things that can be controlled when it comes to the Olympic Games. So we have to accept that there will be chaos, there will be distractions, there will be disruptions, but we have to maneuver in those uh, tough situations. And that's why the game plans of an athlete comes into play. what if plan comes into play, because things will go off the plan, but it depends how much you are prepared to be able to handle those off the plan situations. So it impairs your decision making. For example, if we have a particular routine, it gets disrupted. If an athlete who is under distress may or may not have difficulty in sleep pattern, may or may not have difficulty on nutritional aspect, may or may not have difficulty on his or her technical routine aspect, competitive routine aspect. So all of this can also get impaired when it comes to distress situation, which can athlete goes under in high performance system, which in turn leads to underperformance. So let's get more deep into the top of the day, which is the importance of nutrition, and I'll connect it with the stress and nutrition. And before me, Anurani ji has also mentioned mindset. Mrs. Aradhna has also mentioned adjusting mindset, mood and food, perception and challenge. Debla ma'am has also mentioned mood and a lot of neurotransmitters, rightly. So I will just touch upon those aspects. Let's take serotonin production, for example. 90% of serotonin production happens at your gut level, which directly impacts your mood. So, in order for you to perform under a great stressing situation, if you add mood which is not going as per your plan, that can also lead to not so great performance. So, serotonin can also impact how you are handling stress and vice versa. Let's take probiotic and mental health. For example, we all have heard about gut mind relationship, and probiotics and fibers help the immune system or prepares the body for stress response so as to make the athlete more comfortable or less uncomfortable when he or she goes under a stressful situation or a distress situation. It can also affect your sleep, and a lot of routines has been into place. Some of the nutritionists also have this protein and carbs diet at particular levels in the evening so as to impact the sleep of an athlete. Emotional eating, Dibla ma'am has also mentioned about that. So what happens is when a person is in under distress, studies have research has shown that women are more prone to eat more in emotional eating, and men are tending to suppress their appetite. So these kind of gender differences or gender bias also takes place when it comes to stress and nutrition. Your appetite gets changed. For example, if normally an athlete would take breakfast before a competition, suddenly he or she doesn't feel like having breakfast. And that this has happened at the Olympic Games level. And that's why it is very much essential for a nutritionist to be there on the ground so that he or she can maintain the routine that an athlete is following for the last 1 2 years, which has led for him to this level where he is representing or she is representing Indian team at the games. Because if left alone, the athlete will choose what will make him or her more comfortable in that situation. And it may or may not have been a proper decision. That's why I mentioned earlier it impacts your decision making ability. Hydration and electrolyte balance. For example, in shooting team, um, since past 3 years, the nutritionist has been a continuous support for the Indian shooting team, not only in the background, but on the ground as well. From World Cups to World Championships to the Olympic Games. So it maintains steady consistency in hydration level, because sometimes what happens is before a finals you get earlier you used to get 1 hour, nowadays you get 1 day. But in those 1 hour, people are in distress. Some people are in distress, some are in stress. But sometimes in that moment, you forget to have replenish your fluids, to forget replenish your energy levels, which may or may not impact your attention abilities and the ability to absorb the pressure that is going to be when the final starts. And of course, the cortisol level also, the higher stress levels, the higher the cortisol level, and the muscle fatigue will go up and the energy levels will go down. That's why the nutrition has to be tailor made so as to maintain the energy levels of an athlete. So, when all of these aspects are being catered off, and these 1% marginal gains has been worked upon for a long duration, then the outcome looks like this. And those 1% marginal gains comes from a high performance team where each and every professional, be it sports science, be it nutritionists, physios, strength and conditioning, sports psychologists, they each contribute that 1% for that athlete, which helps them be more successful. Thank you.
Madam, please unmute yourself. Karen, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Shivam, for that beautiful presentation and explaining the difference between performance and high performance, because these are two different dimensionals, and we need very specialized, precision-based guidelines for dealing with high performance. And in this connection, I just wanted to ask you for few of your experiences in connection with the Paris 2024 Olympics. Has there any instances where an athlete came and spoke to you, or you could speak to an athlete where they told about how dietary challenges has an effect or on their stress levels or mental health? Or is there any communication that you've had with any athlete that you can recollect?
Yes, yes, I can share you without naming them. Uh, when it comes to the Olympic Games or any high competitive scenarios, the closer you are to the athlete, the more insights you will gain. Obviously, nobody likes to eat salads if they are vegetarian, or nobody likes to eat something in non-vegetarian, which they don't have usually in India. But some of our panelists have also mentioned mindset, and Dibla ma'am has also mentioned a study related to that. So yes, the mindset plays a very crucial role, and that's why preempting these situations, we have also made the athletes aware. The nutritionist has also made the athletes aware. So, for example, few of the athletes have told me. So, how it works, I'll explain you. In the morning, they have their competitions. In the afternoon, they go back to their village where they are staying. They have lunch, and post the lunch, some of the athlete takes rest. Some of the athletes like to go for a walk. Some of the athletes will have their sports science sessions, for example, physio, nutritionist, or sports psychology, and so on. So in that afternoon sessions, we interact with the athletes. And when we interact with the athletes, a lot of times we discuss about the routines and how was their day and what was something that can be improved upon and something that they look forward for tomorrow. So yes, it has been pointed out that the food, initially it's fine, 1 or 2 or 3 days, everyone likes it, mixing up salads and making a lot of things, burgers with different kinds of buns and everything. But after a while, it gets boring for them. It doesn't get less delicious, but it gets boring for them. So that's where the mindset comes into the play. And the mindset develops when all the team members, not only the athletes, but all the team members, including coaches, the high performance director, the support staff, all of them are on the same trajectory where no one is complaining, but everyone is being flexible and making the best out of the situation that they have in hand. And the mindset is cultivated from a long time. So whenever we go, for example, difficult country in World Cups. We have been to some of the countries, for example, Korea, where vegetarian options are so very limited. But in those situations, also the team sticks together. They eat together, and we have this concept as gold medal table. So we all sit together. We all have lunch and dinner together, mostly, if not sessions are there. So in that environment, if the feedback is not so negative, then the overall perception about the food and dietary habits become less affecting for the overall situation in hand. So that's why it's very much important if you sit together and everyone has a positive mindset, and they are here to fight no matter what, and they are here to take on the challenge head on, and we will do it together. So that kind of attitude is inculcated in our national athletes and support staff and coaches, which helps them build the mindset together.
Great. It was nice to know that there is a communication, a connection between different stakeholders in the sense that coaches, athletes, managers, they all have a similar mindset to feed the athlete. And that is an insight for me because I'm not aware of that. I'm sure many of us would also be like enjoyed to listen to what you have just shared regarding the kind of communication but that happens or works behind an athlete along with the supporting staff. It is also nice to know that you have these stories in your mind, and that also shows how connected our fields are in a sense that it is not psychology is different from nutrition or physiotherapy, but this is a team that has to contribute to the performance of an athlete, and it is not working in isolation. So I think this is a good thought that you have shared with us. Do you have some time for a few questions to be
Sure,
taken?
sure. Yeah,
Since we said 4 p.m. and it is exceeding the time, that's the reason.
sure, sure.
Any one of our faculty members or any students who want to ask any questions to Shivam, please.
So, Shivam, one other question from my side.
Yes, ma'am.
Overall, the team with which you are working, what was the most common challenges from psychological perspective that they had approached? Do you have something which could be mentioned from that?
Um, the biggest challenge is dealing with the expectations, ma'am, because uh, as we all know, this has been the most successful last 4 years for the shooting fraternity. We have secured the highest number of quotas when we entered into the games, which was 21, and we came at par with China. And the Asian Games was a success for us. We had 22 medals in Asian Games. So when you have such uh, an increasing graph going to the Olympic Games, the expectations build, and those expectations comes into different forms, and it takes manifestations. For some, it may take manifestation of mood disruptions. For some, it may take in dietary habits. For some, it may take motivation. For some, it may take different aspect. For example, they don't feel like exercising in the evening. So it all comes down to this one aspect: how much they are sticking to their routine or their game plans, which they have set and they have been following so far. But when it comes to the Olympic Games, it gets disrupted. And the result of which is most of the athletes they get defensive when they go into the Olympic Games rather than being aggressive and offensive when they go out there. And that's why we need performances like this, and even better, to change that approach of being defensive, going out there and being defensive rather than being offensive. That I am here to finish the podium, not just finishing the podium, but to be there in the middle of the podium and listen to my national anthem. So one of the biggest thing was this, the approach, the mindset, that when we go into the games, the defensive mode takes over and it disrupts your routine. So we have to work more on that, I believe.
Just last one question.
Yes,
Because the athletes are unique, they are different, and you have lesser number. So how do you handle with these different shooters? Like, how is it? Like, I mean, that's what I'd like to know from.
yes. So I would like to let everyone know that there are 4 sports psychologists. Earlier, there were 5. 5 sports psychologists plus 1 high performance director. That is also, he has been the high performance director who has been a sports psychologist for many decades. So you can say there were 6 sports psychologists in the shooting team, out of which only 2 were able to go to the Olympic Games because of the accreditation system. But there were more in the background. And having more in the background allows people with different interests, different personalities to connect with each other, to have that trust, that rapport. So when we have large people, large number of athletes, yes, each and every sports psychologist gives their best so as to understand the athlete. But in our shooting team, we had 5. That gave us an edge because some may not click with this particular psychologist, some may click with the other. And the best part is we all 5 worked in harmony so that when we went there at the Olympic Games, no one felt left out that my psychologist is not there because we all were working hand in hand. We knew all the athletes, and the athletes were also comfortable with that because the environment is such. So it all takes time and effort, and we all gave about 3 years for this process, 2.5 to be more precise, and that's how it is being dealt with.
Great to hear. You see how we are learning. I mean, it's something which is which we are proud of because we learn from our students. We say, oh, from whatever it is. So thank you so much for giving this wonderful input and wishing you all the very best for a future. There, hope that the success you climb up the success, and
Thank you so much.
that's the only thing which we can pray for. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shivam. Actually, I think we need a separate session with the sports psychology department hosting you for a more elaborate overview and thought process in the area that you have experienced and shared. It is very valuable snippets of information which we wouldn't get from anywhere else, any other place. So thank you once again. So yeah, you can carry on.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Now, moving on to the final aspect, we had one more speaker, Dr. Komi Kalpana. However, due to some emergency, she couldn't be part. Still, I would like Shantia to introduce Madam in this e-dialogue.
Thank you, ma'am. It's my privilege to it's my privilege to introduce Dr. Komi Kalpana, a highly respected and accomplished professor of sports nutrition at the Department of Nutrition and Dietetics, School of Allied Health Sciences, Manav Rachna International Institute of Research and Studies, Faridabad. Over with 20 years of dedication to higher education and research in sports and clinical nutrition, Madam has made a remarkable impact on this field. Madam holds a PhD in sports nutrition from Sri Venkateswara University and started her career as a research fellow at Psi NS 2014 and also worked as a scientist D at ICMR NIN as well as in several other reputed positions. Currently, Madam is leading the important Nutri-Cereals health study under the National Food Security Mission of the Government of India and continue to support Where is a Sports Federation with her expertise. Ma'am also owned a Young Scientist Award from Sri Venkateswara University. We are fortunate to have such a influential and passionate researcher with us today. Thank you, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you, Shantia, for introducing Madam. However, I'm sure this is just an initial phase of the e-dialogue series. We will definitely attempt to get her inputs next time whenever we host this session. Now, we would like to come to the conclusion since we've already exceeded the time a little bit. I would like Sushma to introduce Dr. Shyam Sundar Rath sir, our Dean Student Welfare, and so that he can give us the closing remarks. Over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll be introducing Rath sir. It's a honor to introduce Dr. Shyam Sundar Rath, a highly respected leader in sports education. He serves as Associate Professor and Head of the Department of Sports Coaching and in charge of Head of Sports Psychology at the National Sports University, Manipur. With a PhD in Physical Education from Utkal University and a Diploma in Weightlifting from the National Institute of Sports, Patiala, Sir has consistently demonstrated his expertise and dedication to the field. As a six-time participant in All India Inter-University and Senior National Weightlifting Championship and the presenter of 30 papers at prestigious national and international conferences, his contributions have been significant. Sir has recognized with the Bharat Jyoti Award, Best Citizen of India Award, and Best Physical Education Teacher Award. Sir is truly an inspiring person in sports education. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Shyam Sundar Rath sir. Over to you, sir.
There are some common nutritional challenges both the athletes and coaches they are facing, particularly in competition period, preparatory period, periodization time. What I think our sports nutritionist, they must observe this training load, training recovery, and intensity, volume, everything, which is highly directly related with our sports nutrition. And another most important area is this achieving optimal body composition. This body composition throughout the year, throughout their training period, athlete has to maintain. In our country particularly, I have been associated with our district, state and national level players. During the just after the competition, our athlete will gain weight. Again, when next competition will come, they will start their training program and they will lose their weight. So throughout there, particularly I am giving athletics, this high muscularity in sprint and hurdles. This type of body composition is highly required, particularly sprinters and hurdlers. So moderate muscularity is required for this jump and throwers. So lean physique is required, particularly in middle distance and long distance runner. In this way, the athlete throughout their training periods, they should maintain with proper diet and nutrition. Then another one important challenge, that is avoiding low energy availability and its negative health impact. In market, there are many foods are available where calorie value is very high, nutritious value is very poor. Athlete must be educated. Coach also must be educated related to this matter. And fueling and blocking is another one area. Needs for training and recovery. Then competition phase, particularly nutrition focus on performance strategy. this is also one important area that must coach must be guided. Coach must be prescribed proper diet with proper consultation with sports nutritionist, and sports nutritionist must observe during the competition period. Then carbohydrate loading is another one area, particularly for long distance and marathoners, endurance athletes. Then pre-event meal, particularly competition hydration. This knowledge is highly required for both athletes and coaches also. And there are many bodyweight category game, weightlifting, wrestling, judo. This how the athlete will maintain their body weight. Just before the competition, most of the athlete they want to reduce their body weight during their winging. When they will reduce their body weight, that will definitely affect their maximum strength. When maximum strength will affect, and it will affect the speed and explosive strength. It is so it is really very difficult. So how they will maintain their body weight and round throughout the year during their preparatory period, competition period, and even transitional period, that is more important. And sports supplement and safety. It is another one important area, that is scientifically proven supplements. How one athlete will came to know that these particular supplements which is available in the market, it is scientifically proved. So this is the area where he must consult with the sports nutritionist, and even coaches also, they don't have that much knowledge, and that supplement may affect our performance and our training also. Then monitor urine color using a chart to assess hydration status, which is very much important during even every at least it should be started from state level and national level. Only those athletes, those who was introduced, those who entered in the India camp, then only these type of facilities are available. Now, of course, coaches, most of the SAI centers, they recruit sports nutritionists. They used to conduct this type of test. Then pre-competition and consumption of water, rich electrolyte, rich food. This also is highly required. This knowledge, athletes should know about this knowledge, electrolyte food, and food which is rich in protein and rich in carbohydrate. This type of. Then during competition, food meal pattern during the time of competition, and before and after their training, this fluid loss also, both athlete and coach must be they have also thorough knowledge, and only a sports nutritionist can guide related to this matter. So these are the, apart from that, there are many areas are there. Research is going on. This subject is, yesterday I told, this subject is very important nowadays. It is developed in the year 1980, but prior to that, many research has already been conducted. When Abhi Bikla, particularly a long distance marathoner, got twice gold medal in Olympics, then whole universe became astonished, because during those days, 60 Olympics, I am telling, the record was 2 hours, 25 minutes. All in that 60 Rome Olympics, the record, he used to break the record 2 hours, 15 minutes, 10 seconds in one Olympic. In the next Olympic, he break also his own record. So a lot of research, particularly exercise physiologists, they have conducted related to this body composition, and endurance athletes also they have conducted. So this area is very interesting, and without the support of the sports nutrition, this to enhance our sports performance, it is very difficult. So these are my simple point, though there are so many things are there. So here, once again, I would like to give my hearty and sincere thanks to the department, particularly Dr. Kiran Harish Tiwari and Dr. Arijit Chakravarti, And thank you very much once again giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving us a broad overview of the different various arenas in which sports nutrition practice should be emphasized. However, just to give a few pointers that we probably understood from this kind of a panel discussion or an initiation, a small initiation into raising certain things and asking questions to different stakeholders, is that Olympic level performance requires another mindset for preparation, not just from the part of the athlete, but also from the part of various stakeholders that are participating in this movement, because it is not a process of one day, it is a journey. And as emphasized by almost all of the panelists or the presenters, the mindset with which we carry ourselves, not just to the competition, but towards the diet, towards each other, that also has a role in how equally we can contribute to the benefit, to the growth and performance of the athlete. So the bottom line is not just having the right knowledge of what food to eat, and not just having the right kind of foods available to you, but having the right kind of mindset to accept or receive that knowledge, and also to make sure that that translates to you choosing the right kind of food. So the connection and interlink between various stakeholders in preparing an athlete was emphasized in this particular dialogue series. And I leave everyone with this thought by a senior sports dietitian, Ricky Keene, at the US Olympic and Paralympic Committee, who was quoted as saying, no matter the sport, the first step is to start with what individuals prefer, their taste, taking into account if they are vegan, dairy free, gluten free, or so forth. So, this is one of the comments that she's made, that to understand the needs of the athlete and also to motivate them, to encourage them in those areas, to support them in whatever beneficial way is possible with us, is the role of a nutritionist. At the same time, to also motivate their mindset, not to be fixed onto a rigid mentality that this should be consumed, but also to motivate them that this does not matter, your performance matters. So, with this few key pointers, we come to an end of this e-dialogue series. I now welcome my colleague Dr. N. Amitra Singh to provide, to deliver the vote of thanks. Sir is a physical education enthusiast who has done his doctorate in the subject. He also is very motivated to encourage the society to be more active, to lead a better lifestyle. And he's an academician with over 9 years of experience in teaching and research. So, welcome you, sir, to provide the vote of thanks.
Thank you very much, madam. Good evening, everyone. As we come to the close of the insightful and engaging e-dialogue webinar, it's my privilege to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks to all those who made today's event a success. First and foremost, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to our Vice Chancellor, Professor Usha S. Nair, for her continuous supervision and giving permission to conduct such type of e-dialogue for our university. Thank you, madam. And I would like to express my sincere thanks to our esteemed speaker, Miss Anu Rani, and Paris Olympian, the javelin thrower, and chief nutrition. And I also like to thank Aradhana Sharma, chief nutritionalist for Paris Olympic and Indian Olympic Association. And also I like to thank Dr. Devla, assistant professor, for her valuable talk, and also like to thank Mr. Shivam Dwivedi, sports psychologist, as a part of Olympic team Paris 2024. And also I would like to thank the student welfare, Dr. Samsundarat, for the supervision and motivating to all the members. And not only, I would like to thank our registrar sir, for giving us for conducting this type of e-dialogue. Thank you for your time and effort in delivering such impactful sessions. I would like to extend our appreciation to the organizing team who worked tirelessly behind the scene to ensure this e-dialogue webinar ran smoothly. Your dedication, planning, and coordination made today possible. Thank you for all your hard work. A big thanks to our audience, both present, virtual, and for joining us today. Your participation, questions, and engaging play a crucial role in making the e-dialogue webinar interaction and interactive and successful. So we are grateful for your continuous support and enthusiasm. Last, I would like to acknowledge our technical team for their seamlessly handling of the technical aspect, ensuring a glitch-free experience throughout the event. With that, we close the e-dialogue webinar. We I hope you found the sessions as enriched as we did, and we look forward for your presence in future events. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm sure we had many more questions, and I'm sure students had many more questions to ask. Uh, Probably in the future, when we take up such activities more often, we will be able to cater to all the questions that and answers you have. Meanwhile, if there are any comments on live stream options, we will also be looking into it later on. Thank you so much. Now it is end from our end, and hope you have a good time.
Thank you. Thank you. Well done. Well done, team. Dr. Karen and the entire team. Well done.